average handling time is always a key thing in a contact center environment. And it's quite fascinating when you, large water company we did some work with, at the most senior board level, the response was, average handling time, yeah, that's not an issue, that's not a concern for us, we don't talk about this to our frontline agents. Then you kind of work your way down the organizational structure, kind of mid-manager, well, yeah, we still need to measure HT for resourcing, and we still do use it. When you go to team leader, it's very much AHT, well, that's my crutch, this is how I manage my operation. And of course, at the agent level, they're really feeling the force of average handling time. So it's, despite the rhetoric, it has never gone away and it never will leave the front line. But the smarter organizations are now looking at AHT as just one of the metrics. And in fact, I met a particularly enlightened operations director who said, well, actually, repeat contact today is 12, 14, 16%. If I look at all channels, it's up to 20% of all customers recontact us within the hour. It's huge loading on their contact center. And his view is I'd rather have one call at 600 seconds than two calls within our limit of 400 seconds. So it's quite an enlightened view. And what's fascinating is when you look at repeat contact in itself, and we've done this manually historically, we're now using Xdroid to kind of put some huge weight behind it. 42 or 43% of all repeat contact. It's nothing to do with the process, it's nothing to do with another issue. It's directly caused by the agent behavior. And when you look at satisfaction levels, customer satisfaction levels on that repeat contact, an organization who might measure CSAT, 3.3 times more likely to be dissatisfied on that second call. So if you're in an organization who's trying to reduce repeat contact and drive up customer satisfaction, getting to the bottom of why customers are calling back, the call drivers, and really understanding what we would call, the voice data black hole in your organization is one of the first places to start. So when you look at average handling time, and this is really one of the truly unique capabilities that we bring to the table, is we have an ability to feed in, let's take 40,000 calls, that might be 4, 5, 6 minutes long, and we're going to take the longer, the long tail end. Let's take calls which are 9, 10 to 12 minutes. We feed in 40,000 long calls, 40,000 kind of on point, within the parameters, and our system can glean and tell you very specifically what's going on in those calls versus them. Now, in terms of processing time, from what I understand, we might need a day up to 2 days to actually process those calls. But, in a couple of days, you've got the answer. I've seen organizations, big telco I've observed, they have a team of 2 analysts working with their speech analytics platform, manually coding away to try and figure out what are the words found in long HT calls. So we have a really unique capability when it comes to getting under the skin of what's going on with your average handling time today. So we can take calls which might be 4, 5, 6 minute long. If we can get 40,000 calls, we feed them into our machine learning system. And then we take the longer, the long tail end, maybe 9, 10, 12 minute long calls. We'll take those which, 2 or 3 times over the AHT parameter, we feed those in. And what we're able to do is deduce and glean very specifically what's happening on those long HT calls differently to the calls which are 4, 5, 6 minutes. And what's fascinating is when you dig down into this kind of voice black hole, what's fascinating when you dig down into the data is on the longer calls, often there are long silence periods, the agents don't really understand the query. In fact, there are multiple queries and the agent themselves are not skilled or sufficiently trained to handle multiple queries from the customer. And once you've got the data, you can then put in place some strategies. So what we've seen is some quite special IVR routing to a team of agents. So when there are multiple queries on the call, you route that up front to the agents who can handle it, and it massively prevents repeat contact on those calls. So I think the first step is getting to the bottom of this, and by feeding in the calls, we can give you a level of insight that you currently aren't able to get to.